Everybody, it's Rick from Adkins Studio. Thanks for joining me for the next video. Today we are going to be doing some watercoloring using the Chromatek Watercolor Brush Pens. And I'm going to be using the beautiful flowers stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. I love it. As you can tell, it's well loved. We're also going to be using a little shadow gray archival ink from Ranger. And I've got some Canson 140-pound XL watercolor paper cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to use our stamp positioning tool to stamp with. The colors that I'm using are tangerine, marigold, orange, ginger, lemon yellow, and olive. So those are colors I'm going to be using. And first thing first, we're going to stamp. So let's get our platform. And the Canson XL paper has two sides of the paper. One's a little bit rougher, one's a smoother. I'm going to use the smoother side. I found that works a little easier. So we're going to take our large stamp here, and we're going to place it on our card. I'm going to go right in there. And then we're going to stamp this down. So we're going to use our archival gray ink. It's going to be a very light ink. So we're going to stamp it a couple times. Helps if you grab the stamp pad. And I'm having to stamp it a couple times because it's watercolor paper, so it's got a little bit more texture to it. So you have to do a couple more images to get a good one. I'm going to zoom us in a little bit. And you also are going to need a water brush. So I've just got one. This is a Marabou water brush, and it's just got some water in it. I don't hardly even squeeze it, and you need a paper towel. Okay, so there's my paper towel. All right, so we're going to start with our flowers first. And you want to start with your darkest color. Let's start with tangerine. All right, so we're going to start and add our color where our darkest colors are. You can know that by where the lines are on the stamped image. Any place a petal overlaps another petal, you're going to have a shadow there. Right, I'm only going to work like 2 little sections at a time. I'm coming in with my orange color and I'm blending that out a little bit. That's the great thing about these water brush pens. You can blend out with another color. Okay. Now I'm not even squeezing my brush. I've got the tip wet, and I'm just going to take and simply pull that out to the edge. Super easy. Coming into that color, not squeezing. There's barely any water on the brush. I can pick up additional color if I want to. That's what my paper towel's for, is to blot things off. We're going to blend that just a little bit more. And we will actually come back and add another layer to this also. So I've got my tangerine here. And I'm not even worrying about these little details here because I can come back with a gel pen and add those in. also come back as this is still wet and add a little bit more color and soften that out. And because I'm barely putting any water on the brush, I don't really have to worry about the bleeding. So the only water that's on there is just barely on the tip of the brush. Slowly blend that out a little bit. Our tangerine right here. Then we're going to add in some of our orange. And then we're going to add a little orange right in here. Blend those two together. Alright, so this is dry. I can come back in and intensify that. This is just the orange. Alright, so we're going to finish the rest of this flower and then we're going to do the rest of the other ones. And I'm barely putting any pressure on the tip of this brush. These brushes are a brush fiber. They're like a synthetic brush. That's how you get the pretty little strokes. Because they act just like working with a paintbrush. Pull that color out. And pull this out. We're going to add a little bit more color down through there. So we have that petal overlapping. These out. There we go. So keep pulling this out. And this would be a little longer video because we are painting such a large image. And add a little bit more color. Just coming right up to that line. It's going to be a nice, pretty little fall arrangement. Blend that out. You see how those just blend together? And I do like to turn mine upside down so I can see a little bit better of where I'm laying down color. Just like that. My Christmas card series will be coming up soon. If you are watching this when this came out, I think it's a couple weeks from now or a week from now. It's like really soon. Let's see, this will come out the 2nd or 3rd week of October as planned. So it would be the next week. All right, we're going to come in right here and add a little bit more. A little bit more shadow or intensity there. So there's our first flower. Now I'm going to do the rest of them the same way, and I'm going to speed this video up. Now let's see, we want to do our bud next, and I'm going to pull in a little warmer color. I'm going to pull in a little vermilion, which is just a more red-orange color. I'm going to come in with my tangerine. Blend that out a little bit. Then we're going to smooth it out and blend it completely with our water brush. Pull in a little bit more of that red vermilion color. Looking pretty. All right, now we're going to do our leaves, so we're just going to do those in olive. I may add a little lemon yellow or marigold to it, but I don't think we're going to have to. Just following it along with the stamped, what the artist drew or designer drew in there for us as far as my shadows go. Squeeze a little bit more water. Some of that pigment moving. I can also take and squeeze a little bit onto my glass mat here and come in and add a little bit more. A little blue. And drop in also. This is Egyptian blue. I'm just going to drop some in there. So just going to wet this petal. Drop that in. Drop a little bit more of our olive. Go. It's really going to be more in where the shadows are. It's where you're going to see more of your blue greens. All right, we're going to add a little bit more up in here. This isn't going to have as much shadow, but that back one, if we want it to turn over a little bit, we could add a little bit right in there. If you get too much water, you pull it out too quickly, so you've got to be really careful of the amount of water you're adding to get a good transition. I can even pick up a little off the brush of diluted color. Add a little blue here. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So now let's go ahead and we're going to add in our browns. I did pull a couple brown. I picked hickory, sienna, and dark brown. We're going to start with dark brown. So I really just need a little bit of something. Right in there. There. I'm just going to flick or dot in little dots. And then I'm going to add some highlights in here with my gel pen. Just very little dots. add a little bit more shadow in here. I'm just going to use some sienna. Yellows are really hard to get enough depth into. So you kind of either got to add a purple in or add something to give it a little bit of cast shadows back there. Purple would blend really well, make a nice neutral shadow color. There's actually enough blue in the sienna and red that it's going to make a purple-ish cone, so that's why it's doing so well. It's just a cooler version. We can actually add some into our orange here. Because browns are a desaturated orange or red. They're considered earth reds. And with my tangerine, add a little bit more on these petals that are folded over. And just a little orange right there, or red right there, vermilion. Be careful where I put in that brown and not touch it with the water because it will bleed, and we don't want that. That vermilion is just going to intensify what's already on there, those layers. That's why I've switched over to that. Now watch what happens. We went over that with a little bit of the sienna, and we're going to add that red vermilion in there, and that just makes it super pop. I come in with a little more of this ginger color. Intensify this a little bit. Gotta work when you're doing watercolor, anything waterish with water, you've got to come in, do a layer or so, and then come back and add more to intensify. Water, it's going to look better the more layers you add. We're going to add a little bit of that lemon in there. Lemon yellow is one of my favorites because it can just bump up the intensity. Pretty much anything. And it doesn't take a lot. And a little bit more of that yellow in those leaves, like sun. There's sun hitting it. All right, let's come back in with a little bit more of our olive. Let's grab the right marker, Rick. A little bit of flicks in there. Blend all this together. All right, there's our coloring completed. Now we're going to add a little bit more detail, so I'm going to move these out of the way. And we're going to take a stencil, that right there, and we're going to take and add this on. I'm going to just kind of tape it into place. So let's grab a little tape. This is the Spellbinder's Best Ever Craft Tape. So we're going to add a little bit more definition. So I'm just going to tape that right there. And then right in there. All right, I've got that taped down. We're going to take some blending brushes and we're going to add some ink to the inside. A little crushed olive. And see, to complement the orange, we're going to use a little broken china. No, let's do chipped sapphire. That would be pretty. Right, I'm going to start in with my old olive. My crushed olive. And I want to just add just the littlest bit of color. I don't really want any. I'm going to try to keep it off the flowers as much as possible. That was a mess up. We're going to add some of our chipped sapphire in here. Makes this nice dusty green color around the edge. Alright, now we're going to take our stamp set. We're going to take just one of our stamps, and I'm going to do a little tone-on-tone stamping in the background. Let me clean this. Just going to add just a little texture to our image. Just subtly. Alright, let's go ahead and remove our masks. Creates a nice little focal point right there on our card. Now we can add a sentiment. And we're going to go back to the stamping tool for that. We're going to stamp this in a nice black ink. So we're going to use VersaFine Clair, because it does do a nice dark sentiment. Alright, now all we have to do is add this to a card base and add a little embellishment, and our card is going to be finished. So I'm going to add this to a top folding card base. And we're going to add something to the inside. So let's take and put our card base in here. We're going to take our same stamp that we stamped on the outside. We're going to add it to the inside. Just so we have a little something something going on. And I'm going to stamp it in just that crushed olive. So we want that to be really subtle. There we go. Just going to add that around the edge. Alright, we're going to take and pop this layer up with a little foam tape and add our embellishment. Alright, we're going to add some liquid glue on our foam tape so that way it gives us a little wiggle room. Right, let's get our embellishments. We are going to use some of the Midnight Blue crystals from Studio Katia. And then we're going to add some white gel pen to our flowers. And when you're adding these embellishments, you do have to make sure you have enough adhesive down, but not enough that it's going to goosh out. All right, let's add our gel pen detail. Just going to do little dots, add in a few more little highlights here and there. You want it to pop out a little bit more. But mainly hitting where the highlights are already hitting. And yes, I do have a Signo pen that works. It's brand new. That's the only reason it still is working. My jelly rolls are across the room. Just a few more little highlights here. You can see me tapping some of the highlights, so I want them to be a little bit softer than what they actually are. Especially on the greenery. All right, my friends, there is our card for today. I will see you in the next video. I hope you give these pens a try. I have everything linked in the description bar, in the blog post that coordinates with this card, and that link is down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you.